Around 500 BCE, Greek settlements on the coast of Asia Minor, which had some autonomy under the Persian Empire, grew discontent with their situation. They resented serving in Persian armies, paying heavy taxes, and facing declining trade conditions over time. These Greek cities attempted to regain their independence in what became known as the Ionian Revolt. Athens sent ships to support the rebellion, but after several years of fighting, the uprising was suppressed by Persian forces. In 490 BCE, the vast Persian Empire turned its gaze toward Greece. King Darius sent an expedition by sea to punish Athens for supporting a rebellion in Persian territory. At Marathon, outnumbered Athenian hoplites seized the moment when Persian cavalry was absent and charged the Persian forces in a desperate gamble. The Greek phalanx, with its tight formation of heavily armored infantry, shattered the Persian lines. Persians had heavy losses while running back to the ships. This victory became almost mythical in Greek culture. The outbreak of rebellion in Egypt forced Darius to briefly postpone the continuation of the conflict. The Athenians used the pause to better prepare for new battles, building a strong navy and forming an anti-Persian alliance with Sparta. 10 years later, Darius's son Xerxes launched a massive invasion by land. The Greeks were hopelessly outnumbered. At Thermopylae in 480 BCE, King Leonidas of Sparta led 300 Spartans and about 7,000 other Greeks to hold a narrow mountain pass. For 3 days they held against perhaps 100,000 Persians. Betrayed by a local who showed the Persians a secret path, Leonidas sent most forces away while he and his 300 Spartans fought to the death, buying Athens time to evacuate. After this victory, the Persians were able to advance on Athens. Most of the population fled to the nearby island of Salamis, where they could watch the Persians capture and burn their city. The decisive battle came at Salamis. Themistocles, the Athenian commander, lured the massive Persian fleet into narrow straits, where numbers became a liability. Greek triremes, fast, maneuverable warships, devastated the Persian navy, while Xerxes watched helplessly from shore. The following year at Plataea, Greeks crushed the remaining Persian land forces. The Persians were forced into a final retreat from Greece, and the classical age truly began. Victory transformed Athens. Under Pericles, who dominated Athenian politics from 461 to 429 BCE, the city entered its golden age. Pericles used tribute from the Delian League, an alliance formed to defend against Persia, to rebuild Athens with unprecedented splendor. The Parthenon, completed in 438 BCE, crowned the Acropolis. This temple to Athena wasn't just beautiful, it was architecturally revolutionary. Inside stood a 40-foot statue of Athena, covered in over a ton of gold and ivory. Theater flourished. Playwrights like Sophocles, Aeschylus, and Euripides wrote tragedies exploring fate, justice, and the human condition. Aristophanes wrote biting political comedies. During the city Dionysia festival, citizens watched plays, debated their meanings, and voted on the best performances. Theater was entertainment, religion, and civic education combined. This was Athens at its zenith, democratic, wealthy, culturally supreme, and increasingly arrogant. Athens's dominance bred resentment. Sparta watched nervously as Athens transformed the Delian League from a defensive alliance into an Athenian empire. In 431 BCE, the Peloponnesian War erupted, Athens and its allies against Sparta and its Peloponnesian League. Historian Thucydides, who lived through it, called it the greatest war ever fought among Greeks. The conflict lasted 27 devastating years. A plague struck Athens in 430 BCE, killing perhaps a third of its population, including Pericles. Athens made catastrophic mistakes, like the Sicilian expedition of 415 BCE, an ambitious attempt to conquer Syracuse that ended with the complete destruction of the Athenian fleet and over 40,000 men lost. Sparta, backed by Persian gold, eventually built a navy and defeated Athens decisively. In 404 BCE, starving and besieged, Athens surrendered. Sparta briefly became Greece's dominant power, but the war had exhausted and impoverished all of Greece. The Golden Age was over, and Greece would never fully recover. Walking through Athens's marketplace, you might have encountered a peculiar figure, a man in a simple tunic, stopping strangers to ask seemingly simple questions. What is justice? What is virtue? How should we live? This was Socrates, and his relentless questioning would revolutionize philosophy. Socrates wrote nothing. He believed wisdom came through dialogue and self-examination. His method, the Socratic method, involved asking probing questions to expose contradictions in people's beliefs, helping them discover truth themselves. He claimed to know nothing, yet this humble ignorance made him wiser than those who falsely believed they knew. His questioning made enemies. In 399 BCE, Athens charged him with corrupting the youth and impiety. Found guilty, he refused exile and drank hemlock poison, dying as he had lived, questioning, conversing, unafraid. His death shocked the Greek world and immortalized him as philosophy's first martyr. Socrates' student Plato ensured his teacher's ideas survived. Plato founded the Academy in 387 BCE. His dialogues, featuring Socrates as the main character, explored justice, beauty, and reality itself. Plato's theory of forms proposed that everything we see is merely an imperfect reflection of ideal forms existing in a higher realm. Plato's own student, Aristotle, took a different path. Where Plato looked to abstract ideals, Aristotle catalogued and classified the physical world. He wrote on everything: physics, biology, ethics, politics, logic, poetry. His empirical approach laid groundwork for scientific method. He tutored a young Macedonian prince named Alexander, creating one of history's most consequential teacher-student relationships. This chain, Socrates to Plato to Aristotle to Alexander, represents perhaps the most influential intellectual lineage in Western history.